This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is a bonus episode of ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, and you can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And if you happen to be a Stephen King and Dark Tower fan, or a fan of fantasy, if you're listening to this, maybe, then check out mine and Tiny's new side project podcast, Tower Junkies, a Dark Tower podcast. It's a podcast devoted to all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. We're really excited about it. You can find that at towerjunkiespod.com and on all social media at towerjunkiespod. Yeah, and then an episode sponsor for this week is once again Horror Movie Yearbook. They're a great horror movie-centric podcast that just released a commentary track for Sleepaway Camp and a very nice tribute to George Romero. They do, ordinarily on their main episodes, they do a class of whatever year, and they pick a year, they pick 3 horror movies from that year, and then they review them and contextualize them into the current events and pop culture of the year. You can check them out at HM Yearbook and on Twitter and at horrormovieyearbook.com. And thank you to Horror Movie Yearbook and the wonderful folks at the Midwest Podcast Network for sponsoring this week's episode. So, Tiny,
what do we got for this week?
God
damn it. Hey.
I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we are definitely going to be. I'm all over the place. You've thrown me off. Today we are reviewing season 7, the penultimate season of Game of Thrones.
Word.
And yeah, so this is the penultimate. This is the Pendulette season of Game of Thrones. No, this is the second to last. It's the penultimate. I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
I think. Yes. This season was 7 episodes long, and yeah, it's very much getting everything kind of set in place for the final season and the series end. So we are going to, as we have on seasons previous, we're going to dive into spoilers pretty much from the get-go. So if you want to remain unspoiled for season 7 of Game of Thrones, please do not listen to this episode, because we are going to be spoiling the hell out of Game of Thrones season 7 and previous seasons to it. So make sure you come back and listen to us when you do watch the season. Okay, so Tiny, we have reviewed each season of Game of Thrones for the last 3 seasons. We skipped season 4, but we did season 3 also. What were your expectations going into season 7? And what did you think going into season 7? What was your excitement level at?
I had a very setback-ish couple of seasons. That was some quality podcasting right there. Setback-ish. I feel like the last 2 seasons were major setbacks. I feel like they were. I had lost a lot of my enthusiasm for the show. And so I wasn't especially excited for the season to start. I was looking forward to it. I was like, all right, some more Game of Thrones. Good deal. At the end of the day, there's going to be some death and some boobs. And so, I was somewhat excited for it to start. And I was just like, I was like, they need to do something this season. Like, things need to happen. Reference our last couple episodes where I talked about, I remember I kept using the word toil.
You did.
Repeatedly.
Yeah, I'm so glad we've got the trifecta down.
Yeah.
The 3rd episode. Nice.
spoiler alert, I won't be using the word toil this time to describe it. So I was very incensed with the showrunners and with everyone involved in the show. I was frustrated with Game of Thrones. And so I was like, you need to draw us back in with this season. Things need to happen, shit needs to go down. You know, we need to see some dragons and some plot. And so
maybe
that was
some ice, maybe some fire.
Yes, maybe
a song or two.
Maybe some games, maybe some thrones. I mean, yeah, they needed their best foot forward for this season. That was my expectations. So they needed to woo me back, pretty much.
Okay.
Not that it's ever been bad enough that I would have been in the series. But I'm saying, you know, like I said, much of my enthusiasm had faltered.
I was kind of the same way, and it goes back to the end of season 5, and really season 5 as a whole was when I started to really kind of. It wasn't necessarily that I started to lose interest in the show, but it kind of seemed less. I was less of an obsessive viewer of it. Like I was not looking at I was not looking forward to each episode and watching with bated breath and piecing together all of these things. I wasn't constantly thinking about the show. It was just like, it kind of, throughout season 5 and even most of season 6, it was kind of like a show that I could feel it toiling, and feel it kind of getting to a point where I was kind of being patient with it as it was trying. It was like, it was kind of like how our listeners must feel anytime I talk, because it kind of felt like I was sitting there, like the last few seasons of the show have felt like I've been sitting there watching someone try to articulate what they want to tell me, struggle so hard, and then disregard editing so that I have to put up with it.
Right.
And finally get through it. So that was like at least seasons 5 and 6. I felt like it was very much like there was a weird shift in the tone of the series that it became kind of clear, and especially last season in season 6, that it became kind of clear that they're off book, that George R.R. Martin hasn't published anything past where they're at in the show, so they are kind of going into uncharted territory. Where yes, they do have outlines, and they've obviously talked to George R.R. Martin and everything, but from everything I understand, it was already a pretty big departure from the books, and then now they're going into an area that hasn't been written yet, and I felt like that had been pretty apparent, because it kind of felt like the way that situations were coming up and the way that people were put into place and situations were handled and built toward, it felt more like they were pacing it differently than when they had books to kind of guide them into pacing. And I felt that for seasons 5 and 6, and then somewhat spoiler, I kind of felt that a little bit here in season 7, but we'll get to that here in a moment. But overall, going into season 7, I wasn't unexcited, or I didn't feel like it was a chore or anything. I was excited for the show. I was just hopeful that they would get back on track and everything. So Tiny, having said our thoughts on how we anticipated the show for the 7th season, how'd you feel about the season overall? And then we can go into a more nuanced discussion of it.
I effing loved the season.
Nice.
Loved it. Like, I think it might be my favorite season so far.
Nice.
Really loved it. I mean, they literally did the exact opposite of what they did in seasons 5 and 6, at least in my book. You know, Arya was goofing off, playing assassin, and Tyrion was trying to figure out what the hell he wanted to do with his life, and Daenerys playing around in Marine, and just everybody was just stationary, and nothing was happening.
Right.
And like, you already had these well-established characters, and they were just throwing more onto the characters, and that's all it was. And I love character development, but the plot was just going nowhere. It was driving me nuts. And plot was the name of the freaking game in season 7. There's so much plot that an entire battle wasn't even shown. When the Lannisters took Highgarden, they just cut to the end, and I was like,
yeah,
like that's how much plot there was in this season. And I was like, thank you. was a plot overdose, and I loved it. That's what I needed. That's what I really needed to bring me back into the show. And everybody was just on their game. I mean, we had a convergence of characters finally coming back together. And there's so many, there was reunions. Man, it was just great. Like, to see all these characters come back together and to see dragons burning people to death. And, man, it was just so cool. I loved this season.
Nice.
This is the first time that I watched a couple episodes twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
nice.
I wanted to watch the finale again before we recorded this, but it was an hour and a half. I didn't have time. Yeah, it was everything I've wanted this show to be. And I'm not trying to dismiss the first 3 or 4 seasons. They were all really good seasons of television, but man, this one was just. They got the popularity and the budget and everything's just, what you got with Game of Thrones, what your established characters and your settings and all that. It's all there, and you just ramp it up to full RPM, 6th gear. That's what this season was for me, and I was so satisfied with it. It was just awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel, Matt?
I enjoyed it too. I really did. Maybe not to the extent that you did. I wasn't like, and it's hard to say because it was in terms of filmmaking and just the payoff of so much stuff this season. It was like payoff overload.
Yeah, that's a good another good term for season payoff.
And like you said, there were so many reunions, and I think I told this to Fecus, but like every time there was a reunion, I just in my head, and I did this when I played like Mass Effect and a bunch of other things. I do this all the time, but there's a scene where John, Theon comes to Dragonstone, and John's there, and then they see each other, and then John goes up to him, and in my head, I just granted, the scene is that John goes up to him, is Theon asks how Sansa is, and John's just you're the only reason, or she's the only reason that I'm not killing you right now, or something like that. Which was really cool. But anytime I see a reunion like that, I in my head, just because I'm a dick, I'm just in my head, I'm just Theon, you son of a bitch. And when Sansa and Arya finally reunite, I'm Arya, you son of a bitch. I don't know why. It's so dumb, but
that's great.
Yeah. Anyway, I liked the season overall quite a bit, and it made me really excited. The way that the season ends has me convinced that the last season is going to just be balls to the wall action, just insanity. Because they only have 6 episodes. Yeah. Which is also to the detriment of the show, I think. We'll talk more about this as we go on, but I kind of feel like we've gotten so many, characters have shifted around so much and finally gotten into place to where the writers are setting it up for the final run of episodes. So you get Dany and Jon meeting, and then over the course of 4 or 5 episodes, they're falling in love, and they're basically, becoming a romantic relationship. And that's all well and good, and that's fine, but I just wish that we had these, I wish that the show had put these characters in place and then given them 2 or 3 seasons to really develop those relationships. Because we've had 6 seasons of Jon at the Wall, north of the Wall, in Winterfell. We've had Dany all over the place, and then finally in Westeros. And then they come together, and then finally, they're almost immediately hooking up on a boat, and they're that's great and everything. But it's just I kind of wish we had more time with them together to really develop them as romantic interests and everything. It really kind of took the wind out of the whole incest for it. It really took my excitement away from the incest plot. But we had that, and then I kind of felt Arya, as much as I like that character, and I'm glad that she's at Winterfell and she's not just running around and well, okay. I'm glad that she's not running around and just toiling, as you said, Tiny.
Mm-hmm.
But also, she's kind of just running around and toiling in Winterfell.
Yeah.
I had some issues with the whole Littlefinger subplot. Like, I'd said this a few episodes into the season. I was like, I'm getting really, really bored with Littlefinger trying to manipulate Sansa and all this. And then when you throw Arya into the mix, it kind of made me, like, I don't know, I'm jumping around like I always do on these, but like the end game of that plot line with, the surviving Starks at Winterfell basically killing Littlefinger,
yeah.
like doing, like actually, passing a sentence on a character and like doing, like executing Littlefinger. And like that moment, like I like that because that is the remaining Starks coming together and doing essentially what Ned Stark did in the first scene of the series.
Right.
And like I liked that connection and everything. I just felt like Littlefinger is a character that's been in the series since the beginning, and it kind of felt it felt more expected than anything, because we had that kind of weird scene with Arya and Sansa where they're in like that whole episode where Arya and Sansa are kind of at each other's throats, and it's very threatening, and it felt less like they were talking to each other in a threatening manner, and more like the writers were just like, okay, we need the audience to believe that they could be capable of hurting each other, so that the twist that they're really conspiring against Littlefinger is what's going on. I'm just like I couldn't help myself but to think that when Arya sliced Littlefinger's throat, all I kept thinking was that scene at the end of the previous episode where they're talking and Sansa finds the faces, and Arya very threateningly kind of has the dagger and then tosses it over to her. I'm just like, what was the purpose of that scene if they were working together to conspiring to take down Littlefinger? Like was that solely for our benefit? And if it wasn't, and if it was like them sizing each other up and Arya just like them coming together to do that, like why not show that to us? Like it felt cheap to kind of conceal that for us. But yeah, let's go with that. Like, what did you think of that whole plot line?
I agree. I think that I liked the plot line. My problem was the scene you laid out where Sansa finds the faces, and they have their little confrontation. That was incredibly misguided in my mind. I think if they had an argument where, Arya was upset with Sansa about how Littlefinger just tries to manipulate her all the time, and they had like a sister fight, that would have made more sense. I like the direction that plot line took, because Littlefinger needed to die 3 seasons ago.
He really did.
But, still, it was incredibly satisfying to watch him die the way he did. And I remember watching I don't know if you watched the after this episode things with D.B. Weiss and
David Benioff.
Yeah. But I don't remember which one of them it was, but he was talking about how he was really curious to see what Aidan Gillen was going to do in that scene, because in 7 years, we've literally never seen him like that before. He's always two steps ahead of the game. He's always so calculated, and he just knows exactly what's going to happen. He sees all sides, but he was totally taken by surprise during that scene, and it was so cool to see that sniveling little asshole finally, unable to defend himself, and he didn't have a way out of that situation. That was incredible to see that. So the culmination of it, I thought, was great and everything. But you're right. I think it was a bit ham-fisted the way they handled it before that. The scenes leading up to it, I think, were a little bit ham-fisted in it. In the end, given what happened, it was just so weird that like everybody knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I feel like there was maybe 10% of the Game of Thrones viewership who were sitting there watching that scene in the Great Hall, like, oh my God, Sansa's about to put her sister on trial. What's going on? This is great. I don't think anybody was thinking that.
Right.
And I'm usually the gullible dumbass who falls for that stuff. And even I was like, I think she's going to have Littlefinger killed here. This isn't exactly, So I agree with you to that extent, but I definitely, that's definitely a gripe for the season. That scene specifically where she finds the faces was like, why are they doing this?
Yeah, but yeah, and like the actual trial scene and that sequence, like I was on board with that after the reveal that they were going after Littlefinger. Like, I mean, I had problems with it, but like seeing his reaction, like I loved how it was like it was, they checkmated him, like when she was like, she just basically said like, oh, you did this, do you deny these claims? And like asking him point blank, and he can't. And then just also Bran.
Yeah.
Like that was just cool. I loved how the Starks came together like that. I don't know, I just felt like, and part of it may be just that the show has grown so much to where I am, like, my blood pressure rises when there's a battle scene. Like, Battle of the Bastards is freaking exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it made me physically, like, almost physically uncomfortable to watch that for the first time, because I was so, like, it's such a massive thing, and it's so terrifying and so brilliantly done. And, like, same with, like, the big scene in Spoils of War and the bear scene in Beyond the Wall, and so many other sequences in the show's history. Like, these are huge moments. And like, time was that I would get super nervous because a character could get just killed instantly. And like, I feel like I'm so accustomed to, like, maybe a fucking dragon's gonna go and just boil people alive.
Right.
That now it's like, oh, a character got his throat slit. That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I did think it was poetic that she slit his throat so he couldn't speak anymore. I thought that was the way to do it.
Perfect. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned your blood pressure thing, or like your heart racing. Yeah. My partner at work is a Game of Thrones junkie too.
Okay.
We spend every Monday talking about it. And she has an Apple Watch, and which monitors your heart rate. And she actually showed me her data for when she was watching Beyond the Wall, the penultimate episode of the penultimate season. And she, like, anytime there's a significant change, it marks it and tells you what your heart rate actually is. And like, she was sitting there pointing to, like, okay, this is the part where the bear jumped out of the snow and scared the shit out of everybody. This is the part where the dragon got shot. And like, she was literally, it was going from like 76 beats per minute to like 110. And it was,
that's awesome.
It was so cool. I was like, man, you should like email that to HBO or something. Yeah. Like, it's like literally data they can use.
Wow.
But that's how, I think that's partly indicative of how great the show was this season.
Yeah. And
for me anyways.
Yeah. And that's indicative to how I feel about the show a lot. Like, watching the show it gives me a nervous anxiety, like, watching it, because like that scene at the end of the first episode where Sam is walking through the hall of the Citadel, and like, it's eventually revealed that like he's walking down the hall and then, like, someone grabs his arm and it's Jorah, because you see the grayscale and everything. Like, I was terrified because I thought, like, is something gonna happen? Like, is Sam gonna get murdered right now? Yeah. Like, I was nervous until it was just like showing that Jorah was there. It was just like, I get, like, the suspense is so strong, that was something that I felt was lacking in the Littlefinger scene. But we're bouncing around a lot, so let's kind of go back to the beginning of the season. How did you feel about the placement of the characters? So, like, they had Dany go to Dragonstone, they had Cersei be crazy. What did you think of, let's go with the Cersei plotline. How did you feel about that plotline overall?
I kind of feel like her plotline this season was the weakest out of all of them. And I think it's because she's just kind of sitting back watching how things go. She's holding a lot of the cards, if you will, for the game they're playing. Analogies. But I think it was still fascinating to watch her because she's fully embracing that she's like the Mad Queen now. She's kind of like taking up the mantle of mad monarchies in this world. And, she's just full on just like, sleeping with her brother out in the open. And, she's making moves with the bank and stuff like that. And she's we're going to go take Highgarden and that's that. That's what's going to happen. And it's just
Right.
like she's being deliberate. She's not trying to like play a game anymore. Like it's turned into full blown war now.
Right.
And she's making moves like a general with an army at the helm, and or at the helm of an army, if you will. And so
more of a show of power than
Yes.
calculating.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So I really appreciated that because, I mean, she's an absolutely despicable person, but it's incredible to watch her, and she's super fascinating. And to see her embracing that side of herself, or at least, making it public and just not holding back anymore it's shocking. The lengths that she's gone to over the seasons, and now it's all just coming to a head. So while I think she was a little bit not boring, but I think I was just a little more interested in what the other characters are just so strong, and their plots were just so amazing that that's what I wanted to focus on more than Cersei.
Bronn and Jaime.
Yeah.
First of all, I agree with everything you said about Cersei. She is like you said, she's the new Mad Queen essentially, and I think more than being interested in her character, I was more interested in Jaime's reactions to her character. And there's an interesting theory about Tyrion that I'll talk about later. Just remind me to.
Okay.
But with Jaime, I liked his turn throughout the season. It was like he was maybe one of the only characters that was still kind of toiling a little bit, like, because he was it was a transition period for him, I guess.
Right.
Because, like, he is kind of just standing by watching his sister lover kind of become the new, like, Mad Queen.
Right.
And like, there's what I took away from the look at the end of season 6 was that, like, I kind of like the idea of him being put into a position where he may need to do the thing that he's known for as the Kingslayer. Like, he may need to, Queenslay.
Right.
And that's kind of something that was in the back of my mind throughout the whole season. And I kind of like the way that he was developed throughout the season. It was just like kind of a transitional period. I'm not really sure what he's doing now. Like, is he going to go to the north and fight with them, I would assume? Because it seemed like he was on the King's Road.
Yeah, he's kind of going rogue, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting to see him try to decide or try to wrestle with what's right and, like, what, the fact that he loves his sister and that they're together now, and they're in a position where they can just be open about their relationship and just do what they want, really, but she's going nuts, and I think he kind of has this pull to the light side, if you will. He's seeing the other side, I think, in a different way, and to see him struggle with that was, I agree. I enjoyed Jaime this year as well.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how his character goes through. But the spoils of war, let's talk about that. That episode itself is like that sequence at the end with the dragon and everything was astounding to me. And just like one of those scenes where it's like it's intense. Like we followed Dany for 7 seasons or 6.5 seasons at that point, and like we know everything about her army, and she has dragons, and we know all of this. We haven't seen it in practice against, the like Cersei's forces or anything, but like to actually see that, it's like it's amazing, and it really was a great way to usher in the panic of Jaime and showing that he knows they can't win.
Right.
I thought that was a good way to go about it. What did you think of that sequence and the special effects in the episode and the season as a whole?
I agree. It's, on one hand we have Cersei making all her power plays, and then, Daenerys who's kind of being the good queen, and, she's famous for breaking chains, and she doesn't slaughter people needlessly. She's still ruthless, obviously, but compared to Cersei, not quite so crazy. And so she just kind of says screw it and just takes her dragon and just lays waste to half the Lannisters, in incredibly fantastic fashion.
Yeah.
You know, that the loot train thing or whatever they call it, I don't remember what the name of the battle, the loot train battle or something like that,
Sure.
was just astounding. And you know, that would have been like an entire season back in the first 3 or 4 seasons. That would have been like the big penultimate scene of the season. But this was just like, what was this? That was episode number 4. It's the midpoint of the season. I mean, it was like, you know, it wasn't necessarily a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, to see her just take the reins, if you will, pardon the pun, and just go balls to the wall was just unbelievable. Seeing that we'd seen a dragon, you know, breathe fire and kill people with fire, but we'd never seen it in a battle scenario.
Yeah.
And that finally came to fruition. Like you said, the season of payoffs.
Yeah.
This was a huge payoff. And just, it was like, if you think about making a movie or making a TV show, all of the logistics and the safety involved in setting an actor on fire, like a fire scene, you see it in a lot of movies, and it's kind of a common thing. But you see 1 or 2 people on fire. They had like 15 people on fire, like actual actors, like not CGI. They had like 15 people on fire at once. I've never seen that ever anywhere. Maybe it exists in another movie or something, but I've never seen it. And I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, holy shit, how did they, like, just from a logistical standpoint, you'd have to have like 6 fire departments there monitoring that situation, and like, you just up the ante for someone getting hurt. And I was just like, man, that's just super ballsy. And I was just beyond impressed by that choice. You know, the choice of the filmmakers to go that extreme with it was unbelievable. And it was really hard to watch. Like, people just being burned alive. Just try to imagine that. It's such a horrendous thing to be burned at all. And then just to be burned so badly that it kills you. That's just, man, that's just, it was hard to watch.
It's brutal. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked that, like that sequence, like I said, blood pressure, like that. Yeah. Like as soon as we had a nice like scene between Jamie and Braun where they're like the whole time anytime there's a scene with them, I'm like, I just want to see a buddy comedy with them. Yeah. Like a buddy comedy road trip movie. Like I would love to see that. But, which is funny because the actor who plays Braun was in somewhat of a buddy role in a Black Mirror episode. Yeah, do you remember that?
I don't remember that one.
No? Oh, it's a
oh yeah, it's a
okay. Good one.
Now I remember it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, disturbing. But anyway, but no, I would love to see that. But like the moment that they hear like that noise, like it's the fucking dragon. Yeah. And it's just like there's that buildup. It's just like you look at the hill and you hear it and it's dark, and like that whole time I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like freaking out. And yeah, that whole sequence was phenomenal. It was amazing. And I loved all, like, probably one of my standout things from the whole season is, and maybe the whole series, honestly, is the relationship between Jaime and Tyrion. Like, you get that whole scene where, like, Tyrion is watching the battle unfold, and, like, he's watching Jaime take the spear and, like, go after Dany, and, like, he's, like, stop, like, he's quietly saying, like, don't do it, you idiot, don't do it. And like he does it, but like God, that, oh man, like I was intense. I was so pissed that was the end of the episode. Like, not because I was like, oh, I want to see what happens, but I was just like, I kind of wanted more of a resolution, because it was something that was like, my heart rate was up so much that like when it ended, it was just like, I needed like a denouement. I needed like something to bring me back down. Yeah. But
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because I wanted to talk about that scene too. Because as I was watching it, you know, I talked about how a lot of the times I'm the gullible idiot who falls for that kind of crap. Well, I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, one of these two people is about to die right now.
I thought that too.
Literally on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my, Jamie's about to get burned by fire to death. Like, that's about to happen. Oh my God, what the hell? And you know, you can criticize it because it's a bit cliched that, Bronn comes out of nowhere and tackles him into the water. But I was like, oh my God, thank God they did that, because I don't know if I could have taken one of those two people dying. Oh my God.
Right.
Because my ultimate hope for the show is that I hope Daenerys ascends to the throne. Like, I hope that's how the show ends. I hope that she becomes the queen of Westeros and, finds her rightful place as the queen of Westeros. But, and so to think that she's about to die, which I didn't think that's the way it was going to go, but I was like, one of these two people's about to die. And that just like, heart rate, heart and throat, going nuts. Just, that was intense. And awesome.
and we'll talk about our expectations for the final season, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. That's what I wanted, but
Right.
I'm not sure that's what's going to happen.
So there was a lot of comments about Bran and being the three-eyed raven, and it's like the memes from it are so funny to me. Like there was like in one of I think it was like the first or second episode when Bran. I think it was the second episode when Bran is talking to Sansa, and he's like, "I'm the three-eyed raven now."
Yeah,
and then she's like, "What does that mean?" And then he's just like the way that the commenters on the internet like took it was that it was just basically like, I'm the three-eyed raven. What does that mean? And then Bran's like, you looked really nice the night you were raped.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, chill. I know. I just wanted to know what it means. Like,
yeah.
Fuck.
I saw another meme where someone was like, so Bran can literally see anything that he wants, maybe tell your bastard brother Jon that he's a Targaryen.
Yeah.
Maybe tell everyone that the White Walkers are like basically on the door.
Right.
Now I'm going to tell my sister that she looked really pretty when she was getting raped.
Right.
Like, dude, are you kidding me?
And then we'll talk more about this later because it's a big moment, but
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. At the end of Beyond the Wall, like someone commented online and said Bran, like hypothetically, like Bran talking to Daenerys, and he's just like, you looked really pretty the day that your dragon in that white dress when your dragon was murdered.
Oh my God.
Just like, that's so awesome.
Oh, I thought you were going to reference when Sam
yes.
came in and like basically the end of the episode pretty much, and Sam was like, oh, did you see that in a vision? And he just holds up the parchment from the Raven.
Right.
That was real. I thought that was kind of a fuck you to the internet from the writers, because it's like, oh, you're saying all this shit. Well, there you go. Like, I thought that was really funny.
That was good. That and see, like I saw someone post a meme of that scene saying that like Sam saying, like Bran saying something like I'm the three-eyed raven. I can see everything that ever was and everything. Jon's actually a Targaryen. Or Jon's name is actually should be Jon Sand, since he's a bastard. And then Sam's just like, no, Rhaegar got an annulment and married Lyanna. And then it just showed Bran's face and just said #shook. So stupid.
That's funny.
But yeah, we're getting off the rails a little bit here. So that was a big set piece with that. What did you think of the High Garden thing? Like them, like in the kind of, I love the way that it was revealed, like when the Unsullied took Casterly Rock, because it was a really great scene, because you had Tyrion narrating it and showing it as if, they were going to take Casterly Rock, and then it just reveals that they're not there, that they were at Highgarden and they took Highgarden, and that's why, like, it was all, like, I liked that kind of maneuvering and everything. What did you think of that? And also, what did you think of the freaking scene with Jaime and, I can never remember her name.
Lady Tyrell,
yeah.
Olenna
Tyrell.
Yeah, Diana Rigg.
Yeah.
Well, I think Diana Rigg is a national treasure.
Me too.
Love her. My favorite Bond girl of all time. That scene was phenomenal, and I loved the whole, the wine scene where she's talking to Jaime, and, kind of one of Jaime's little gullible moments really gets thrown in his face. That was just wonderful.
that was like such a Game of Thrones thing.
It was.
It was so great. Like I love. Like I was like mulling it over after the episode ended, and I just loved like that scene. That acting in that scene is just freaking unreal, like so good.
Loved it.
Yeah, and just the fact that like the way it's written is like it was so beautiful because it's like she was just like is there going to be any pain? And then he's like, no, I made sure that there wouldn't be any pain or anything. And then she just downs it, and then she's like, oh yeah, I wouldn't want to die like your son did.
Yeah.
By the way, I did it. Peace out. Tell Cersei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure that she knows it was me.
That was so...
Damn, that's cold as shit.
That was so good.
And it feels like, to me, at least in my opinion, the last couple seasons was a lot of gotcha moments like that, or like very clever turn of phrase moments, dialogue scenes like that. And those were awesome. And I liked those over the last couple seasons. And the show is very good at those things. They've done that over the whole entire run of the show. But, you know, like I said, I've been ready for some action and for the plot to move forward. And,
right.
And so, like I said, this was the season of plot and payoff. And so to have one of those classic fuck you scenes thrown in there was really like nice and refreshing. And, you know, they're kind of showing everybody like, yeah, we're still going to do this kind of stuff too.
Right.
But yeah, I think the comeuppance of that whole scenario was really well done because I was sitting there saying like, yeah, Dany's about to show all these assholes that she's the true heir to the throne, and she's just going to show them how awesome her forces are, and they're going to, you know, take Castle Rock and wipe out half the Lannisters. It's going to be awesome. And, you know, Tyrion's going to show how right he is and how he was born to be the hand of the king, and he's super smart and he knows exactly what he's doing. And then they just fail so hard.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like we're not just, it's like the showrunners are saying, we're not just going to give this to you. You're not just going to sit here and be able to figure this out. You're not just going to be able to enjoy this moment. This is going to be hard. Like, Dany is badass as hell, and she has the Unsullied and her dragons, and she's got a lot of things working in her favor, the Dothraki. But it's not going to be easy for her. Do not underestimate what the Lannisters are capable of, and that was really, really brilliant on the showrunner's part. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, me neither.
Not even close. And I just thought that was super brilliant that, you know, you thought it was going to be one thing, and they just totally flipped it on you, and it turned out to be a really nice piece of strategy, like war strategy stuff. I thought it was
absolutely
very cool.
And that's something that I really liked. Like, I wanted that in the season. Like when we had in season 2, like the War of the Five Kings, I think. Like that was a cool, like, military-esque thing. That like a lot of it was like, it was a lot of the season and a lot of the show has been just maneuvering forces and everything. And I like that when it's in the show and everything. So I like that we got pieces of that as well. And seeing, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about the Iron Islands and Euron, Greyjoy and Yara and Theon. Minor gripe about the finale. And I feel like the writing, there's some little hints of writing just not really working for me.
Okay.
Like the whole, like the fight that Theon has with what's his name, in the finale where he's like he's commanding them to go with him to save Yara. Which I wish that had some kind of resolution this season, because I feel like there's too much going on.
Me too.
To do that.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, especially with 6 episodes left. I feel like there's just way too much.
There's no time for that.
Yeah. But anyway, like the whole, like, they're fighting and it's like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, Theon's getting the shit kicked out of him, and then like his big triumphant moment was when he kicks him in the balls. Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't have any balls.
Yeah,
and it's just like, I felt like I actually said, like, I was like, okay, that's pretty stupid. That was dumb. You're better than that, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was not feeling that scene. I've kind of been over Theon for a while.
Yeah,
and the Greyjoys really, because when you think about what the Iron Islands are, they're like North Korea, because they have nothing. Like, they have to import everything because nothing grows on their island. They literally have to be rape and pillagers. Like
Right.
they talk about it in the show. Like
Yeah.
that's how they survive, is they go and they raid villages and take all their stuff so that they have food to eat and weapons and all that stuff, because they can't get anything from their land that they have.
Right.
And so I feel like the Greyjoys are kind of insignificant because, in the grand scheme of things, the Game of Thrones, they're never going to take the throne. They're never going to be that threatening. They can't threaten to. They don't have that kind of power.
Right.
They're very useful. They have a ridiculous navy and everything. But that's just like they're always going to be a pawn in the game. You know what I mean? They're never going to be a king or queen to use a chess analogy.
Right.
And so I'm not to say they're not interesting characters, and what's dead may never die is cool, and the whole, they drown people, and like that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
And they're cool characters, but it's just like you should have addressed their relevance in a past season and gotten through all this and relegated them to their role as a useful pawn in the game, instead of being a primary set piece that we have to conclude their stories now in the last 6 episodes. So I agree with you. I thought that was a dumb scene, and I just didn't care that much. I don't have a lot of interest in Theon anymore.
I like the scene that preceded it with him and Jon.
Yes,
that was really cool.
That was very nice. I liked that.
Yeah, and that was beautiful because that's two people who were essentially raised by the same person.
Yeah.
That's neither of their father.
Right.
And it's just like, it's so, like, it was a great way to, like a great kind of cap on that relationship essentially, and to kind of further show Jon in kind of a leadership kind of way, or kind of a, counseling way, and compassionate, and also just kind of show like, oh, Theon's like, okay, I'm not going to be a coward anymore. I'm going to go save my sister. Yeah. But
the parallels between those two characters are so great because they're both kind of torn between two cultures. Theon is a Greyjoy and a Stark, and Jon might not know it, but he's a Targaryen and a Stark, and he kind of a
bastard. So he has that deal with him.
But I feel like he knows that there's something else to himself. You know what I mean? Like, the Lord of Light brought him back for a reason.
Right.
And so I feel like they kind of connect over that. And that scene was like succinct and to the point. They didn't need to draw that out and have a bunch of crazy dialogue or anything. It was as poignant as it needed to be. I did like that scene as well. So.
Yeah. What did you think of the...
I'm not looking forward to what they do with the Greyjoys in the last season.
Yeah.
They could totally surprise me and make it awesome, and it'll be great, but I'm not looking forward to it that much.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to go on with Theon and Yara at all.
Yeah.
I like that Euron is still in the game because he's basically, they have that whole thing with Cersei. But further than that, it's just like I don't really care about the Iron Islands that much.
Yeah, even if they devote 20 minutes of the last 10 hours or whatever, 9-10 hours that the 6 episodes will probably be, that even that scene sounds like too much to me.
Right. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. But what did you think about the night naval battle early in the season where Euron attacks the ship with the Dorne ship that has the sand snakes and everyone?
I didn't necessarily see it coming, but I didn't see that working out all that well for Dany and company. I didn't see that. Their plan, I didn't see that plan working out very well. I just didn't know how it was going to get foiled. But I thought it was pretty brutal. And I just kind of spent a minute or two shitting on the Greyjoys. And I didn't necessarily mean to, because in that scene, it shows how brutal they are and how, they don't come in and negotiate with you. They just, they kill you. They rape and pillage. They take things. They're borderline thieves. They're foreign invaders, and so they're marauders.
They're borderline thieves. Hey, let's not label them something. They rape and pillage. They're not thieves.
Yeah, they're pirates. They're pirates. Let's
not go around throwing the T word out there. All right, they're rapists.
The T word. Awesome. But yeah, that scene was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. There's the way they wage war was impressive.
Yeah,
and
and relentless.
I liked that part.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, that's how the show gets rid of the sand snakes.
I know.
Like it's,
They were this epic thing, and they were so cool, and girl power, and then they just half of them are gone, and the other two are in shackles. Yeah, that was cool.
And that scene with
I do not remember her name.
Something Sand. She's, her
the Viper's sister, right?
Viper's lover, I think.
Oh, I thought she was his sister.
I don't know.
I thought they were brother and sister.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I thought that they were lovers because she's the one that. No, they were lovers, right?
Okay. Yeah, I know they were lovers, but I thought they were brother and sister.
Oh, brothers. I don't know. I don't know.
Because the show doesn't give a shit about incest.
Right,
so.
right.
Yeah.
But that was such a cool. Like Cersei's a despicable character and everything,
but that was super Cersei. Like that was
pretty awesome.
It was
like especially when she kisses her.
Hot.
So hot. But but like when she kisses her and then like it took me a second and then I like I was like, oh fuck, and like that is so terrible.
Yeah,
it's like. Fuck.
Brutal as shit.
Yeah.
I almost wish they would have had another scene in a future episode where she's like having a conversation with someone, or like someone's like, I need to see the queen, and like, okay, well, I'll take you to the queen, and she's just in that cell looking over, smiling over their decomposing bodies.
That would have been cool.
And just like it's nothing, just so satisfied and happy with their dead bodies. Like that.
That would have been cool.
That'd be so Cersei to see that.
Yeah.
But, wish not, want not.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? Because I want to kind of save the finale for the end.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the big moment. Viserion and Beyond the Wall. That whole episode. Let's talk about the penultimate episode. I had a couple gripes with it. There was a really good article online about kind of how there... the article posited that it could be, when all is said and done, Beyond the Wall could be viewed as when Game of Thrones jumped the shark.
Yeah, I read that article.
Did you?
You shared it. Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, and it raises a lot of really good points. Just like, well, like I mean, let's see. First of all, before we get into that, let me just say two things about Beyond the Wall. One. I was so infuriated because I was sitting here, like I came home, sat down, it's like 10:30. So I'm like, I've had kind of a long day. I'm like, didn't even really register with me that Game of Thrones was on and it ended and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just load Facebook kind of a thing. Someone on my friends list who is now no longer on my friends list because posted a check-in that just said, oh no, not the dragon, a White Walker? And I'm just like that fucking ruined Beyond the Wall for me.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. One, because it's the last fucking scene of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And two, because in the seven seasons of the show, I think I've been watching it for 5 of those, or 4 years of that.
Mm-hmm.
Not once did it cross my mind that one of the dragons would get killed and turned into a White Walker.
Yeah.
Like that never, like that possibility never even came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then an hour and 15 minutes before I see it happen, it gets put in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed off. Yeah. But then the other thing about that episode is that it kind of goes back to my kind of gripes about putting people together in ways, or putting these, bringing, these different characters together and stuff. It kind of feels like the writing wasn't like, okay, for instance, the scene with Tormund and the Hound, like, I freaking love that scene. Like, I love that Tormund's like, I've got a girl back in back in Winterfell that we're gonna make babies and rule the world with, like giant babies and that are gonna rule the world and everything. And like I love that back and forth because the Hound, like because Tormund, basically the lines are essentially Tormund is describing her, and then the Hound's like, "You're with Brienne of fucking Tarth?" And then he's like, "Well, not yet, but we're gonna be. I've seen the way she looks at me." And then the Hound is just like she wants to slit your throat or something like that. And he's like, "So you have met her?" Like, like that's such a great interchange and everything. But like, since it's so weird to me to have characters that have otherwise been at just completely different parts of the world in this series suddenly thrown together, it kind of felt more like I was watching like a fan fiction thing. Like, what if Tormund was talking to the Hound and they were talking about Brienne and they made a joke?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it felt for me. But yeah, and then I had one other gripe about Beyond the Wall. Oh yeah, that one. I don't mean to steamroll you or anything.
No, you're fine.
But, okay. So the end of the episode previous to that showed the 7 characters going like out into the north beyond the wall.
The Avengers assembled.
Yeah. Like I was really proud because it was a picture of the 7 of them, like from behind, and so I posted a picture on Twitter that just said the Magnificent 7.
Nice.
But what bugged me was that like we had a whole week between that episode and Beyond the Wall. That whole week I'm thinking like, holy shit, this is 7 episodes. They're pretty big characters. They're all going on this crazy fucking suicide mission. The show hasn't really killed off that many people this season.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be intense, and one of them's going to die. And then they all have like what I've seen described as plot armor.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch, like suddenly at the start of the episode, they had a bunch of red shirts that they would just, that they were there just to get killed off. And I'm like, that's like for a show that is so good at creating these massive things, that was just, it was fucking lazy. It really was.
It was sloppy, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of took me out of it a little bit. But what did you think of Beyond the Wall and all that? Did anyone spoil it for you?
No one spoiled it for me. But that post you mentioned, I saw it, but thankfully it was like 20 minutes after I'd finished the episode, so
nice.
I got lucky.
Yeah. But why? Why would you check in on Facebook and just say the last scene of, like, just say, "Oh my god, what an episode"?
I have so many friends that watch it live and they post about it, and they're just like, but it's they don't spoil anything. They're just like, "Oh my god, Game of Thrones, I'm crying."
Right.
You know, and it's like, that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But why would you be specific at all?
Right.
How can you be that stupid in this day and age? It's just...
Hopefully that person doesn't listen to the podcast.
No, I hope they do.
Yeah, me too.
I damn near want to send them a message of like, "You're an idiot. I hope you have AIDS right now."
Jesus.
I don't know about that.
Come to Shocktober in Irvington.
No,
I might cut that little part out there.
I'm kidding. I don't want anyone to have AIDS.
Right.
But no, there were a lot of other gripes, and I read that article you posted about the jumping the shark. I disagree vehemently that it was a shark jump.
Okay.
But I can understand some of the gripes in there, especially the logistical ones. The whole, they send a raven all the way to Dragonstone, and then she rides the dragon all the way up there from Dragonstone, and it's like a day, like a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
The dragon flying up there in like 6-8 hours, I can totally get behind, but the raven flying 1,000 miles...
Yeah.
Little questionable there. So I can understand why people are upset about that, but it was just so badass I didn't care.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can suspend your disbelief, that's great.
Yeah.
And like being able to like recognize that this is a problem for some people, that's great too. Like there is a middle ground there. But like I've seen people say that like, well, it's like it's not an issue at all. And it's like it isn't, like
it is an issue.
The director of the episode even said like, "Yeah, we messed up the timeline quite a bit in that episode. Sorry, bro." But like, I mean, there's a difference between like just accepting what's on screen, and because it's one of your favorite things, rather than, just, critiquing it, like critiquing it. It's not like it's saying that it's a bad show that, they have the fastest ravens in the whole world suddenly.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, it's an issue.
Right.
And it was a contrived scenario that was created specifically to advance the plot and everything. It just seemed like they could have done something to, you know, make it a little more clear and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so to kind of backpedal a little bit, Gendry came back. I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't really do much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, well, other than running back to the wall.
Right, being the fastest runner in all of Westeros.
Yeah, which I think someone made the point, like, how did he know that he was the fastest? Like, they just met like 2 days ago. How do you know? That was also a bit of a bit problematic, but yeah, it was just so cool. Why would you focus on the negative shit? Like, the Night King speared a dragon, man. Like, let's focus on how awesome that is, and like.
I saw someone say 2 world records were broken in this episode. The Night King got the like best broke the javelin Olympic world record, and Gendry beat the cross country world record or something.
Totally.
But yeah, and it's not necessarily like it didn't ruin the episode or anything, but it's a problem when the show has previous to this created like it is. There are plot points throughout the series where it's like, ravens don't like it takes time to get the information
right
and to transmit information. Now they're just like, no, we got rid of the dial-up and now we have cable internet.
Yeah,
we have Google Fiber in Westeros. We can get our shit
right.
But anyway, being spoiled about it regardless. What did you think, like, regardless of me being spoiled on it, what did you think of the Night King taking down Viserion? How did you feel in that moment?
I mean, there are people who are, like, crying, like, oh my god, dragons, that, like, let's take it easy.
It reminds me, I'm going to alter a little bit of a friend's quote, but it's like, yeah, I got really sad when they stopped rendering the dragon.
Yes. That's great. But yeah, I didn't have that kind of reaction to it, but I was like, but as soon as the dragon died, I was like, oh shit, it's about to be a zombie dragon.
I
immediately had that thought. I was like, he's about to turn that into a zombie. Which totally changes the game.
Oh yeah,
the Game of Thrones.
Right. It's a massive game changer that no one should be spoiled on.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that's the immediate thought I had, and like, you know, the final scene brought that to fruition, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I loved it, and I as soon as she showed up with all 3 dragons, I was like, oh man, one of those fuckers is gonna die.
Oh yeah,
I had that thought, and I was like, you know, because everyone, and they were building up to it. Everyone was like, no, don't take your dragons up there. You're risking everything, and you know, you're thinking that she's risking her own life when, you know, she's really risking the lives of her dragons, and it turns into like a huge game changer.
Right.
So yeah, it was just so cool and such an awesome scene, and so many things at play. And you know, Jon Snow gets saved by his uncle, comes out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
and you know, like that's there's a problematic episode, without question.
I came to this realization today that I feel like Benjen jumping up, like I think the producer said like, yeah, we just need to get rid of that plot line.
Yeah.
Like we need to just write him off and tie up that loose end. But like in my head, I'm like, well, they kind of needed a Stark to die this season.
Yeah.
They had no Starks had died yet. So let's kill a Stark.
Totally.
But yeah, and that was another meme that I saw was like, was John saying like, come on, and then Benjen saying like, there's no time, and then John's like, no, it's you just jump on the horse and there's time.
Right.
It's like, there's no time. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really problematic to me. And like, there are rationalizations saying like, okay, well, you know, he was fending off the horde. It's like, no, he just sacrificed himself for no reason because the plot demanded it.
Right.
He's not. It wasn't to hold off any horde or anything from getting to Jon, because Jon's on a fucking horse and they're on foot.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how travel works, despite what they established with Gendry.
I bet the actor who plays Benjen was like, yeah, paycheck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He got his phone rang and he's like, "Oh, totally, yeah, awesome,
sweet."
Yeah. Well, we should probably move on to the finale.
We should. And to transition to that, I do want to just say that the last scene, to kind of go into the finale, because we already talked about Sansa and Arya and Littlefinger and everything. Let's just talk about the big moment of the finale. Well, big moments. Jesus, this show has so much stuff. So, the one thing that I thought at the end of the finale, when all was said and done, was I thought it would have been really, really awesome if they had not shown the Night King bringing the dragon back up and turning him, and saved that for the last scene of the finale. I mean, granted, that week's time, everyone would have been saying, oh, they're going to turn the dragon and everything, but just, as a viewer, if you're watching it and you, they didn't show that, how fucking amazing, it would have been mind-blowing to see the dragon come and do, that would, I can't understand why they chose to go the route that they did.
Yeah, I can understand it, but it would have been cooler your way.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So real quick, the big meeting of everyone, what'd you think of that? The truce?
Yeah, there was they had a board meeting.
Yeah.
I thought it was
timesies, guys.
I know. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah. Just the scenario of it. These people all want to murder each other.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to murder each other for 7 years. I thought it was just a funny situation, but then I was kind of expecting something to go wrong to where, it's supposed to be this hugely pivotal moment where the rest of the world discovers the White Walkers, and you can't deny this anymore. It's supposed to be, it's funny. One thing I've always bitched about the whole season or the whole series about is that the White Walkers kicked off the whole show. The opening scene was an attack by White Walkers, you know, and it's they've literally been teasing it, forever, and it's the biggest problem in the entire kingdom. It's nothing else matters besides that,
right?
And it's just been getting shuffled to the back for 7 years.
Yep.
And they give us little teases, and we find the Night King and his horsemen and shit like that, and that's all been cool, but it's
just get to the point.
Yes. And finally the point was gotten to.
Yeah.
And it was really satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
They had a fucking PowerPoint presentation. We can kill them with fire or with dragon glass, and I was like, thank you, God.
There was so many great posts and everything, but there was a tweet that was it should have just a picture of Qyburn holding the hand. And the comment was, get you a man who looks at you the way that Qyburn looks at the White Walker's hand. That is great.
That is great.
Yeah, and that whole sequence was amazing, and it was great. It was like opening a release valve to so much pent up plot patience.
Right.
And then we had the scene between Cersei and Tyrion, who I read this theory because at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, we see Tyrion kind of looking at the room where Jon and Dany are getting down, and then he's kind of got this look on his face oh boy. There's a theory that he struck a deal with Cersei.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and because it cuts away as soon as he finds out that she's pregnant, and that maybe he struck some kind of deal with her, because as he said, he loved his nieces and nephews and everything.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I had seen the headlines for that theory, but I just hadn't had time to read about it.
Yeah, just the theories that he's gonna betray Daenerys. But I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so let's get to kind of the enough foreplay. Let's get to the incest.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I kind of feel and I know, my thought was the guys at HBO, the studio heads were oh, okay, well, Jamie's leaving, what is King's Landing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, leaving King's Landing and leaving Cersei. We gotta get some more incest in here, guys.
Yeah, we do.
What are you gonna do? Oh, hey, let's do the aunt and nephew
Yeah.
get down thing. Yeah. How did you feel about the development of Jon and Daenerys? Did you feel like it was adequately built toward, or rushed, or how did you feel about it?
I like the way they. I ultimately like the way they did it. I think I've seen a disturbing number of people bitching about it because it's like, well, why'd they have to lay it all out for us? We've all known this. Like the audience pieced it together a while ago that he's a Targaryen, and
But But the kind of the big game changer of it is that it was like that there was a secret marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
That is, and like people knew he was a Targaryen, but the reveal was that he's actually the true heir. If you ignore all the Robert Baratheon usurping of the throne and all that,
Right.
he is the true heir to the throne. That was kind of a big reveal.
Yeah.
With Gilly finding the diary and all that. There's been a lot of good memes for that too.
Yeah,
like your boyfriend gets all the credit.
Yep. That's what I was going to do.
Those are
that face
good.
when your boyfriend,
Yeah.
when you find something but your boyfriend takes credit for it.
Right.
That's
funny.
So great.
But yeah, I enjoyed the build up to all of it, and like, it's disturbing how much I'm okay with those two hooking up, given that they're nephew and aunt. But yeah, I mean, it's cool, and like I said, I knew that he was a Targaryen. I knew that the thing is, it needed to be revealed to the world of Westeros. Like, nobody knew about it except, literally no one knew about it until Samwell Tarly and Bran Stark had a conversation.
Right.
Like, it took those two people getting together for the world of Westeros to find out about this secret.
Right.
Like, as the audience, we knew, but it had to be introduced into the world somehow.
Right.
And that's how it happened, and I thought it was relatively satisfying. And you have these two kind of ancillary characters, and like Bran's just been doing his whole Stephen Hawking thing for a couple. But no, he's been like his strong silent thing and just not saying much, and then
Stephen Ravening.
Nice. Very good. That's trademark. And then Sam has just he's kind of been toiling a little bit this season, as trying to become a maester, and he's been a little frustrated.
Yeah.
And to see those two come together, like, everything was working against those two characters to ever meet.
Yeah.
And they finally, so I think it was kind of a fun scenario that's how that idea finds its way, or that secret finds its way out to the open, is with those two coming together. I was fine with it. I was more than fine with it. I liked it. I thought it was well done. I think people should stop bitching about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it seems like, yes, we're at a point where the show has a very finite amount of time. That, like, it's like, okay, it's at the point where it's like, okay, Bran needs to literally say out loud to the audience, he is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Like, that's like, that has to be spelled out. But I really, really like the interplay between Sam and Bran. Like, I want that buddy comedy too. Like, oh, hey, I'm the three, or, oh, how you been? I was like, I'm the three-eyed raven now. Oh. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
That's so great. But yeah, I do kind of feel like really what I was kind of getting at when I asked you that, by the way, was how do you feel about the romantic relationship between Dany and Jon?
Oh, okay.
And that build up.
I think they're great for each other. I do. I mean, sorry.
I'm just so happy for that aunt and nephew.
Yeah, I clasped my hand and said, "Oh."
Yeah.
No, but like I don't think it's a problem. I think it's, they're doing all this foreshadowing where not all this foreshadowing, but she foreshadows during this episode. She's like, well, I'm barren. I can't have children.
Right.
He probably got her pregnant. I mean, let's not mince words here. That's probably going to happen at some point in the last season where it's like, oh, I'm pregnant and this is going to be the next king. This is the sequel to Game of Thrones.
Right.
It's going to be, weird name Targaryen is the next Mad King or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it was inevitable. I don't know if you watched this, but Funny or Die has a series called Gay of Thrones.
I've seen that like on Amazon Instant Video, but I haven't watched any of it.
Okay, it's hilarious. It's basically it's a scenario where they have like a gay hairdresser who's cutting the hair of a woman, and they're just totally nerding out in the style of a gay man, chatting with his girlfriend, with his hag, if you will. And they're just talking about Game of Thrones. They have nicknames for everybody, and it's hilarious. But
is it like a recap kind of show thing?
It's like a recap thing, and it's funny.
Nice.
It's called Game of Thrones. And like they're just rehashing the episode essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really funny, and like season 1 Dragonstone, or like I think when Jon and Dany finally met in Dragonstone, the guy was like, the gay hairdresser in Game of Thrones was like, "Fuck Watch 2017 begins," and like he brings it up every week, and yeah, I that's what I've been referring to it as. It's like,
nice.
at least those two are still on Fuck Watch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah. I kind of felt like the romantic relationship between them was a little like, that's one of the things, like, again, this is my biggest complaint with it, is that I wish that we had more time. Like, I understand they have a finite amount of time and everything, but it's one of the biggest shows in the history of television and of HBO. But like, I kind of wish that either they would have met sooner and had more time to develop, because it kind of got to a point where it's like Tyrion literally tells Dany, he's like, "Oh, well, Jon is in love with you." And then she's just like, "Oh," and I'm just like, "Oh, so, oh, okay."
Yeah.
News to me too.
Right.
Like, I mean, he pet her dragon, but wasn't until the finale that he pet her dragon.
Right. He's always been attracted to strong women, though.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it would have been better if they had more time. I agree. But then again, if you give him too much time, she's going to find out that he's a Targaryen. And she's going to be hesitant about banging him. So. Right.
But I mean, if they would have met like season 6, had 2 seasons, like I kind of feel like it was a little bit like, okay, well, we need to get them in bed.
Right.
But yeah. And,
they're so hot. It needs to happen.
And that's the thing. I kind of feel like you can sum up Game of Thrones by saying that it's 7 seasons of setup to get the 2 hottest people in the show to fuck. Like, that's Game of Thrones in a nutshell.
Nice.
Like, he had to move the pieces around, and finally they're getting done.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so yeah, is there anything more else? Yeah,
I don't think so. I mean, the dragon taking down the wall.
Oh yeah, that whole thing.
Like visually, that was just tits. That was just amazing. I mean, and I think me personally, for the last 7 years, I've been wondering, is the battle, the Great War, going to take place at the wall? Like, is that what's going to happen? How are they going to get over that obstacle? And to throw that wild card in there. That
was, because I love the idea of fucking White Walkers in front of the wall.
Right.
South on the other side. Yeah, south of the wall.
Right.
There was a really great tweet that was like, oh fuck, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it said something like, those White Walkers took down that wall. They're gonna pay to build it.
Yeah,
pay to build that wall or something.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah, so many jokes.
Yeah.
It's one of the best parts of the show.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that was fantastic. Do you think Tormund's dead? Done for? No,
I don't.
Yeah. Okay, so this has gone a little bit longer than
that's all right. Okay. It always does.
It does.
Yeah.
So while we wind down, before we go, what are your expectations for season 8? What do you want to see happen? What do you think will happen? How do you think everything will end?
Well, now I want Jon Snow or Aegon Targaryen to ascend to the throne, and but I want it to be with Daenerys as his queen. I think it'd be cool if they pull a Jaime and Cersei and like, fuck you, yeah, we're related, we don't care, we love each other, and just like go for it. I mean, incest is a part of monarchy. Let's face it. Right. Even in the real world, folks. So I that's what I want to happen. That's what I want to be the climax, or the denouement after the climax of Game of Thrones. Like, I want that to be the last part of the show. That's what I want to happen. Everything leading up to that, it's a mystery. I'm very curious to see how it happens. I'm wondering if there's going to be a moment where it's like all of the northern armies and the Southern armies, the Lannisters and whatnot, are having a battle, and in the midst of the battle, the Night King just flies by with his dragon, and they're like, "Oh shit, what is that?" And they literally just have like, there's literally like a Lannister and a Stark soldier fighting, and they're like, they kind of look at each other like, "Fuck this," and just start running towards the White Walkers and just start fighting the White Walkers. Like,
right.
that was a very lazy version of that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be kind of funny, first of all, and secondly, like, that's kind of what needs to happen. Like, you know, like the scene in the cave with Jon and Dany, where it's like, you know, they put away their differences and defeated their true enemy. And I'm curious if something like that's going to happen, or, you know, who's going to die, who's going to make it to the end. Right. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on who's going to die?
Oh gosh. I mean, Cersei has to die because she's awful. Right. I think both the Cleganes are going to die. Yeah. Because they're just too. They're like subhuman because they can't interact in the world without war. You know. So I think those two are going to be gone. I think. I really hope Jon and Dany make it to the end. Like I said, or Aegon. Boo, two names. Yeah. You're cool. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. I haven't really thought about it much.
Yeah.
How about you?
I just think it's going to be batshit crazy from beginning to end. It's going to be, I'm hoping that it's, because they've said that it could be hour-and-a-half long episodes for each episode. And I'm totally fine with it taking 2 years, take their time, make it right.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see Jon and Dany, you know, survive and everything, but I kind of also want at least one of them to have a tragic end. Yeah. To have something I could see.
Break our hearts.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a really intense 6 episodes.
I think it'd be interesting if the White Walkers kind of win, and basically all of the humans survive, the living that survive, basically they kind of like switch places. Like the Night King sits on the throne down in King's Landing, and all of the living people have to go live north of the wall. That'd be kind of funny. Like,
the last scene, the last scene of the series is the Night King visiting a bunch of White Walkers in Winterfell, and then 2 of them in like a tower, seeing a kid White Walker climbing a tower and then pushing him off to guard their secret.
Oh my god.
Oh god. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this, but I think Jaime is not going to survive.
Yeah, I don't think
something's
so
going to happen. I'm still committed to the idea that he's going to murder Cersei.
Yeah.
To prevent terrible things.
That'd be satisfying.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, but, I'm super glad that it's gonna be intense. And I have been saying this every single season since season 3, but now that I'm more into audiobooks and it's fine, I am going to, in this 2 years that we're gonna wait for season 6 or season 8 of Game of Thrones, I'm going to read or listen to each book. Maybe by then they'll have Winds of Winter. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to read and listen to each book and rewatch the whole series. That is my promise to listeners and to the world.
Bold statement, Cotton.
Yes. I already have the first 3 books on my Audible library, so that should be fun when we just launched a podcast where we're reviewing an entire book series. But yeah, let's see. I think that about does it. By the way, speaking of which, check out Tower Junkies if you love Game of Thrones and like a very deeply a very dense fantasy book series that has a very nice adaptation and that's taking the world by storm and everything. Check out our Dark Tower podcast.
Yeah.
Not bitter about that at all. I did actually see there was a really cool fake poster for Dark Tower HBO series. And
nice.
It was awesome. Anyway, towerjunkiespod.com. Anything else you want to say, Tiny, before we go?
Oh man, no. It's going to be a long 2 years.
It is. Are you going to try to
No,
go back?
no. I'm done.
You gave up after.
I'm done with the books.
Yeah.
I can't reconcile that.
Okay.
Not to take anything. Not to say they're bad. I just can't.
Right. They're just. You said last time that they're just not for you.
They're not for me. Yeah, and I get more out of the show than I did out of the books. Mm-hmm. I think the show is actually better.
Interesting.
So that's just my opinion.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's good because I need you to be on Dark Tower.
Want me to spoil it for you?
No. That's. No.
Why does Jamie have blue eyes? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I have no idea if that happens.
Oh God.
Jamie, blue eyes? Question mark?
Oh, lovely. Good God. Anyway, so that does it for this bonus episode of Obsessive Viewer. Stay tuned next weekish. We're going to have a review of Logan Lucky, and then after that, we're going to do It. So we're going to review the movie It.
Thank you.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
How did that just happen? That's why Stephen King called the book It, is that so dumbasses like that would, stupid statements like that would happen all the time.
Christ. All right, and I posed this to Twitter, but Tiny, you know this, but I have a 1-minute audio clip of me singing.
Why would you announce that to the world?
But should I put it in the episode?
You should not.
Are you sure?
Hard pass.
Really?
Hard no on that. Yes.
I don't know.
It's not cute.
I mean, pizza. She's a little pizza.
Anyway. I mean, if you never want to get laid again.
I mean, I'm not doing that well anyway.
Well, if you want to cement that into stone, then go ahead.
I can't get negative laid, Tiny.
So you know what? The way people like cats, it might get you laid.
So stay tuned to this and, hit me up. Okay, anyway, this has gone crazy. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Pizza Roll is a pretty little kitty cat. She is so pretty 'cause she is my little pretty cat. And her name is Pizza Roll, and she is the cutest kitty in the whole wide world. And she would be the Queen of the 7 Kingdoms if she were in Westeros, because she is the prettiest kitty in the whole world.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP, Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual Shocktober in Irvington, presented by the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Join the hosts of the Obsessive Viewer on October 6th, 2017 at the Irving Theater for a one-night event screening of short horror films, including the premiere screenings of the latest film in J.P. Leck's cross-medium Elsewhere World universe, the latest film from Snapshot Productions, and much more. Come celebrate the horror genre in the historic Irvington area and meet the filmmakers with live Q&As after each screening. You can also win DVDs and Blu-rays, movie-related party games, horror-themed Funko Pop figures, gift cards to Irvington businesses, and so much more. Tickets are on sale now at SHOCKTOBERInIrvington.com. All proceeds go directly to the Irvington Historical Society. And whether at the Irving Theater or in your nightmares, we will be seeing you on the 6th of October.